For our final session, we are leveling up from individual help to organizational power. Katherine is here for Agents 101. She's going to show you how AI agents can actually automate entire workflows so your team can work smarter and not harder. Katherine, over to you.
Thanks, Cassandra. And hi, everyone. Welcome to Agents 101, Automating Complex Workflows. I'm super excited to be with you here as part of Empower 2026. We do recognize that nonprofits are stretched thin, teams wear multiple hats, admin work piles up, and there's never enough time for what truly matters, which are building relationships, storytelling, and delivering impact. AI power automation is one of the most meaningful ways to give time back to your people. Today, we're going to explore AI agents, what they are, why they matter, and how we can remove that repetitive, manual, time-consuming tasks from your day. So my name is Katherine Qwon, and I am on the marketing team here at ProServeIT. We do work very closely with organizations adopting Microsoft Copilot and AI, and I've seen nonprofits create real improvements, not through big, expensive transformations, but through small, thoughtful automations that quickly save hours every single week. So today, my goal is super simple. I want to help you understand what agents are, why they are a natural next step beyond Copilot, and how you can start using them even if you're not technical. And before we really get into agents, let's start with Copilot building on Kavia's session. So what we saw is that Copilot can help with writing, summarizing, and research. But what many people don't realize is that Copilot is actually the gateway into the world of enterprise automation. I want you to think of Copilot as the interface, and behind that interface, agents are the specialists. If Copilot is your all-purpose assistant, agents are the teammates who know how to run a meeting, manage a project, draft a plan, or take action on your behalf. Copilot opens that door, agents walk through it, and get the work done. Take a look at the number on this screen. The world is moving incredibly fast, and IDC projects that more than 1.3 billion agents are going to be used in 2028. That tells us something really important. Agents aren't just a trend, they are becoming the new backbone of digital work. For nonprofits, this is especially powerful because agents can automate donor follow-up. It can manage volunteer coordination, create reports, keep programs on track, run events, draft communications, and even handle countless admin tasks that you shouldn't be doing manually, all without needing to add headcount. Now, you might be asking, what exactly is an agent? I would like to say that agents are specialized AI tools that focus on a specific process or task. Think of them as apps of the AI era, with Copilot as the interface. If Copilot helps with anything, agents help with a specific thing really well. A really good analogy that I like to use is you have your phone, and on your phone, you have a bunch of different apps that serve its unique purpose. That's very similar to Copilot. Copilot is that phone, and all the agents are those specific apps within your phone. Let's take a look at the types of agents because it comes in different levels depending on what you need. Some agents simply just retrieve information. Some perform tasks when you ask them to, and some are completely fully autonomous. They can plan, make decisions, and even orchestrate steps, and escalate when necessary. The best part is what you can build many of these agents without even needing to write a single line of code. So again, just to let everyone know, agents do vary in levels of complexity and the capabilities, but it all depends on your need. Here is that full spectrum of how agents are created with Microsoft. So end users, they can build simple declarative agents with natural language. with no code needed in Agent Builder. We're actually going to see this today during the demo. And then as we start to get more advanced agents, this is where makers can build more sophisticated agents using Copilot Studio, or developers can even build fully custom agents using Azure AI and even the Microsoft 365 agents. So for nonprofits, this flexibility means you don't need a technical team to even get started. You can begin with something small, like automating weekly donor emails, and then you can start scaling up as your needs evolve. Now, here is a part that I love. You don't need to start from nothing because Microsoft does provide pre-built agents in the agent store when you do have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license, and they're just ready for you to use today. A few examples that might make a big difference. You could have a project manager agent, which can manage your task, updates, and timelines. You have facilitator agents where they can even run your meetings and send you recaps, even a researcher agent, which gather insights for grants, programs, or donor strategy. And these agents alone can save hours each week, especially for teams who are doing everything manually. Let's go ahead and actually start exploring some agents. So in a moment, I am going to show you examples of what some of those agents can actually do. As I walk through them, I want you to start thinking about your own organization. Think about which administrative tasks take up too much time, which processes feel super repetitive, which workflows breaks down when someone is away. Agents can step in and fill those gaps. So for today, we're going to look at Researcher Agent, Facilitator Agent, Work Agent Mode, Word Agent Mode, and Agent Builder. So with Researcher, this agent can help you find sources, summarize content, and pull insights from your documents and the web. Perfect for grant research, annual report prep, and even program evaluation. The facilitator agent, this is what will guide your meetings, creates your agendas, tracks decisions, and even send next steps. This is great for board meetings, volunteer committees, or even staff check-ins. Next, we have Word Agent Mode. This will help rewrite, restructure, and even polish your documents instantly. So think of your donor letters, your proposals, and maybe even some newsletters. And finally, Agent Builder, we're actually going to go ahead and build an agent together. So with this, it's a no-code tool that lets anyone create a simple agent based on instructions, your files, and even the web. If you can describe a type of workflow, I'm sure you can build an agent. All right, so let's just go ahead and get right into the demo. I'm going to have to reshare my screen, so bear with me. Perfect. Okay, so right now we are looking at Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. This is exactly what Kavya was showing us in the previous session. And what we didn't actually cover in that session are agents. So if you see in the left-hand side in the navigation panel, you have agents right here. I will just orient ourselves. This is what I was mentioning about the agent store and how Microsoft has built pre-built agents for us to use. This is where you can find the researcher, prompt coach, even analyst coach. I believe someone in the chat mentioned about it. This is exactly where you would find those pre-built agents. What we're going to look at right now is the researcher agent, which you see up here that I am hovering on. Like I said, the researcher agent, it's so great in finding information with your documents, plus also the web. Let me actually bring up one of the past ones that I did yesterday so I could show in this demo. And I'm going to read through this prompt that I use with the researcher agent, and you'll see how it is a bit different than your normal Microsoft 365 Copilot chat. So with this prompt, as you can see, I said, research and synthesize the latest trends in volunteer recruitment and retention for nonprofits. Use a mix of sources, including recent web articles, industry reports, academic research, and nonprofit sector publications. Summarize what currently motivates volunteers and most common friction points in a volunteer journey, and the proven strategies organizations use to keep volunteers consistently engaged. Present the findings in a clear and well-structured report with headings, key takeaways, bullet points, and supporting examples or statistics when available. Include a brief list of sources consulted. So as you can see, that's a pretty big prompt, but I'm trying to give as much context as I can to this researcher agent. When it came back to me, it said, I got it. This is what you want me to focus on, which is, currently motivating, what is motivating volunteers, what are the friction points, proven strategies, but then it's asking me deeper questions because it wants to completely understand exactly what it needs to look for. So before I begin, I want to make sure I fully understand your needs. Are we focused on a specific region or country? Are you interested in particular types of nonprofits? Do you want the report to include any visual elements? And then it was able to tell me, choose your report length. Do you want it to be 1 to 5 pages or 5 pages plus? So really quick, I just said, let's look at global trends. Let's look at charitable nonprofits, and yes, include visuals because I am a very visual person. Here we have researcher now doing its research. This typical agent will take quite some time to actually give you a full answer. It could take up to 20 to 30 minutes to give you this full report because it's not just going to give you an answer right away. It needs to do its deep research and then generate that report. So as you can see, it will tell you exactly what it's looking for as it's doing its research. Beginning research, reviewing the search results, looking at organization volunteer retention. And as you can see, it did a very deep search of what exactly I was looking for. Remember, I told this researcher to look at mixed sources of the web, of any publications out there. It's looking at now the friction points. And again, I could go on and on, but of course, I'm not going to read every single thing that researcher gave us. And then this is the output that it's giving us. Latest trends in volunteering recruitment for global nonprofits in 2025. It does a nice way of structuring this report, but as you can see, it has, what motivates us. Here are some visuals that it gave us, the friction, and as you can see, it's a very, very comprehensive and long report of exactly what I'm researching for. And imagine trying to find all this information through the web. Researcher can now give us a really good, concise report of exactly what I'm looking for. One of the best parts of this is all the sources are here. I did ask researcher to give me those resources, but you'll always find the resources here and the citations where I can go in and find more about this information. Pretty cool stuff. So that is really researcher. Just looking if there's any questions in the chat. Is there a nonprofit discount for Copilot Studio? I will need to double check that. I know there are some discounts for Copilot licenses. For Copilot Studio, I will definitely need to check. And then you may already have mentioned this, but you cannot use this agent without a Copilot client license. I just verified this. Yes, you have to have the Microsoft 365 license to be able to use Researcher. So that is one of the benefits is when you do have a license with Copilot, you get access to all these agents with your license. Will we have the links to the resources on the reports? Yes, the links are all here in the sources when you use Researcher. So these are the citations where you can now, see where this information is coming from and go and search for the web. You guys are asking me lots of questions, which is awesome. Can we have the agent do daily tasks? Let's say set it up to do this every morning and set a little briefing for you on your calendar. Yes, there's actually ways where you can automate these prompts. let me actually just check if you can do this in Researcher. I know you can. So in Researcher, you can't, but you can do it in chat where you schedule your prompts to happen every day or every week. So there is a way for you to automate this, but specifically not sure about agents, specifically Researcher. Okay, let's look at Facilitator Agent. So here you are looking at a past Teams meeting where we turned on Facilitator Agent. This is an agent that you can use directly in Teams. And I like to think of it like a fly on the wall or someone that's just moderating the meeting. So as you can see, when we turned it on, Facilitator said, "Hi, everyone, I'm here to help with the meeting. This is the agenda that we had on the meeting invite. And, this is what we need to cover." So that was right at the start of the meeting. What's really cool about Facilitator is that it actually has a whole bar during your meeting. And as the meeting is progressing, the bar is going to start filling up until the end of the meeting. At 11:05, as we were discussing during the meeting, it actually saw what we were talking about or heard what we were talking about and said, this is what the goal of the meeting is going to be like. We're going to look at some end-to-end booking processes, HubSpot, and Dynamics. We want to clarify some process steps. And then it says, I'm actually going to add some notes shortly, so just keep an eye out. At the halfway mark, it sends another chat and said, "Hey, we're at the halfway. The group is actively working through, looking at these processes. This is exactly what we covered so far, but just a reminder that we need to still cover these couple of things." So it kind of gives you a little nudge saying, hey, don't forget about these topics that you wanted to cover too. And again, gentle little nudge. We only have 15 minutes left. This is what you still need to cover. Roughly 10 minutes remained in the discussion of this track. You have the end-to-end processes for leading and booking and clarified questions that you still need to answer. So as you can see, it's really keeping meetings on track, and you don't really need to think of taking notes right away and catching all the little details. Facilitator Agent does a really, really great job at it right within Teams. One of my favorite parts about Facilitator Agent is that it's going to create those notes. So at the end of the meeting, you see the decisions that we made, the open questions, what was this agenda, and then here are the meeting notes within this agent. So really, really comprehensive and a lot of detail into this. One of the best things that it does too is that it has those follow-up tasks on what we should be doing with, after the meeting, right? So then we can start assigning these to our colleagues as well. So really great way to keep us organized after meetings. Well, just want to check. There are many Copilot licenses in this browser and search Copilot. Is this the browser or search Copilot? Oh, sorry. This right now is actually just my Teams app. But what we were looking at was the browser version of Copilot, but you still have access to Copilot in different apps. As you can see, I have Copilot up here in the Microsoft Teams app. Kavya showed there's, Copilot within the apps of Word and PowerPoint, but the chat right now we're on browser, but there are other ways where you can find Copilot, like as you see here in my Teams. I can just jump into chat right within my Teams app, and you could do that with Outlook too. And just remember that Copilot is here because I do have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. Okay, so that was Facilitator Agent. The next one I actually want to show is really, really interesting, which is called Agent Mode. This is actually going to be released very soon. I think it's rolling out in February 2026. I have access to it because we are on a Frontier program, so we get to, see the beta versions of it, but I'm excited to show you all on what Microsoft has been working with in Copilot. And so what I just did is I opened up a blank template from Word, and then I opened up Copilot right here. What I'm going to do is when I click this little symbol, you see agent mode. With agent mode, you can now ask Copilot to directly edit the document that you are on. So this is brand new that Microsoft is releasing, and it's really, really awesome. And let me show you what we're going to do. So I'm asking Copilot, update this template and write a newsletter for all employees about what happened during our last AI Corner series meeting. I believe Jamie mentioned it, and also Mihai mentioned it, how we run weekly or bi-weekly AI Corner series, which is like updating everyone on what's going on internally with AI. And what I'm going to do is now reference one of those meetings. Let me just open this up so you have a better view. And then we're going to add some content. And for some reason, it is not working. Here we go. Okay, so I added some content, and I'm just going to search up AI Corner series, and then I can search up, which one I want to update on, and we're just going to hit generate. So what's really cool about this is that it's going to now look at that meeting and take the transcript and update this Word document with the summaries. Okay, as it's thinking, hopefully it doesn't take too long. But as you can see, it is already now updating the template. What's really cool is that it does highlight on what it is changing. And at the end, you'll be able to confirm all the changes. And then you can now just start editing or changing some things on what you want the Word document to look at. So it does save a ton of time, and it's really, really cool. But you'll see it's still working through what it wants to add, even next upcoming sessions. But yeah, pretty cool things. It is going to also be available in PowerPoint and Excel agent mode. So this is just one of the many things that Microsoft has been releasing. So as you can see, it said your newsletter template has been updated. This is what I've changed. I added some quotes, the summary, highlights, even the next session, and then who to contact. You can now, go through the changes and what the agent mode has added. And then let's just say we keep all, it's going to update that. And I, of course, can go ahead and edit this. I could even, go ahead and use Copilot to edit it. So it's very, very cool and what you can do with agent mode. Be sure your IT department has enabled Copilot for Teams. Otherwise, it will not be available. Just went through this yesterday. Thank you, Randy, for your comment. Okay, so that's agent mode. The last demo, what I'm going to show you is actually now building an agent with Agent Builder in Microsoft 365 Copilot. So as you saw, we were looking at that agent tab navigation pane right here. You'll see you can build a new agent. And this is where you can create an agent to find information through SharePoint or OneDrive or even the web. So, and you would need to be very specific on the type of agent that you would want to create. What I'm actually going to do is this is actually how the interface looks like. You would go through, adding the details, what it's about, the instructions, where to find the knowledge, and then you can test out your agent here. But what I will do is actually show you one that I have already created. And the purpose of this agent was being on the marketing team. We create a lot of content, and the different types of tones and languages we want to keep consistent. So we created an agent for making sure that the message is aligned with ProServeIT's tone of voice, and even speaking to the right audience. So this is, the name of the agent, the description, right? Use this agent when you need to write, edit, or brainstorm any marketing or communication content for ProServeIT. We want it to be the tone, speak directly to the right audience, and then align with our brand services and positioning. In the instructions, this is where you'll actually see I go very much in depth in how I want this agent to work. So this is the purpose, right? I want to make sure everything's aligned with marketing internal communication. And then these are your core responsibilities for content alignment. So when you write or review anything, make sure it represents our offerings, manage IT services, AI consulting. And then I'm even going into more depth of, we want you to be very consistent with their tone. We want you to help us brainstorm campaign ideas. Even, these are the personas that we want to look at. Now I'm giving it more guidance on even the tone of voice, right? So make sure it's authentic, empathetic, understanding, professional. And here are some rules. Now I'm actually telling this agent, can you actually avoid M dashes? I don't want you to use these types of words. Always make sure you link the messaging to these outcomes. So again, more rules that we added, even phrases that we don't want it to have. And then you can actually give the agent examples as well. So let's look at some high performing examples that are CEO focused, CFO, and then even BTH marketing company. So those are the instructions, and there is a website on Microsoft that gives you a nice layout on how it actually can format the instructions for it to better work. And you can always go back to change, the instructions as you start using the agent. For knowledge, this is where you can actually tell the agent, use these certain files. I want you to look at the web too, or these specific sources. I even gave it a PowerPoint deck as well. Let's, go ahead and make sure this agent can even create documents, charts, and code, and even images. And then your suggested prompts are actually, just easy prompts here that you'll see here. So just a click, you'll have this full prompt for you. So that's exactly how you build an agent. And you can actually test it out here as you're building it. What I will do is actually show you one that I already tried out so you can see how it looks like. So with this agent, I just simply ask who is the target audience, and it will give out that information, which is very accurate, and it is respecting the instructions that I gave it. I went a bit deeper and I said, based on this knowledge, I actually want you to compare two of our blogs, and I want you to tell me which one is more aligned to ProServeIT's tone of voice. Here we have blog 1. It's pretty good. The alignment, right? It's inspiring, authentic. Blog 2 is actually, it has a moderate alignment, so it is limited. It misses the strategic context as well. So the verdict was blog 1 was actually more aligned with ProServeIT's tone with blog 2, and it was actually correct because blog 2 we posted way back when, and that tone of voice wasn't really developed yet. And then blog 1 was more recent, blog 2 was older. So pretty good. And with that is pretty much it with my demo. I hope you learned something really well. I'm just gonna go ahead and go back to my presentation and just finish it up. But I hope you learned something and that you're all excited about agents as much as I am. And let me just quickly look at the chat to see if there's any questions. Can Agent Builder use and connect with APIs to connect to publicly available data repositories and applications? I think it can connect to APIs. Maybe it might actually be Copilot Studio, but we'll have to double check with Agent Builder. But I believe there should be a way. Okay. So just to wrap up, really, my main message today is, we've been for years talking about digital transformation, right? And just having that whole concept. But I feel like today, really, agents make it is starting to make that digital transformation feel like it's happening. Because now AI is no longer really like a side project. I feel like it's really becoming part of everyday work across industries. Agents are really driving the new levels of productivity, collaboration, and innovation. But the most empowering part of it is that you get to build them, right? You get to decide what they know, what they do, and then how it can even help your mission. I know I was answering questions throughout the session, but if there's any other ones, feel free to pop them in the chat and I will monitor them. And if not, I will just kind of pause here and go to what's next. Very similar to, what Kavya was mentioning with our starter kit. It is a really great way if you're just starting out with Copilot or even, testing the waters. This starter kit is great to helping you adopt Copilot and even the agents now, building that roadmap for you. And we can even do, a really good deep security and data review. So making sure everything's aligned with your permissions and your policies as well. So we're always here to help you. But with that, I will say thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of Empowered 2026.